And welcome back to Hannity Tonight, reporting from Florida. Radio legend Rush Limbaugh sat down with me earlier today for an exclusive one-on-one interview from his studio in Florida. And we started talking about the Republican Party. Take a look. You don't do a lot of TV interviews, you know what?
I don't. I'm totally satisfied with radio. I want for nothing. I love it so much. But this is special. Because, Sean, I'll tell you something. The reason America is still America is in this room.
You mean the camera people and you?
All of us, but you and me. It's an honor to do this. It's great to be back on Fox News. And I'm actually grateful for the opportunity here to be on the week you're going back to 9 p.m. where you should have been all along. So,
thank you.
Happy to be here.
We appreciate it. I want to start with tax cuts. Yeah. All the years you've talked about it, Kennedy, Reagan, how it works. What do you think of the tax plan?
Well, you know, it's good overall. I mean, there's some things about it. Let's look at the elimination of the deduction of state income tax. You know who's going to hate that? California, Illinois, all these blue states. That's going to cause a shortfall for them. Those taxpayers are not going to like it. And if you look at the states with the highest state income tax rates, most of them are blue. But here's my basic problem with this. I keep hearing everybody say growth. But the top rate probably isn't going to come down or much at all. And that's where the growth is. Those are the people that hire. Those are the people that own small business. Those are the people that spend. We still have a tax system and a way of explaining it that's rooted in class envy. We're going to give the middle class, the lower middle class, upper middle class a break. But the rich, we're going to soak them. They don't need a tax break. They don't have got enough. And besides, they say we have to have a way to pay for it. What do you mean pay for it? Why can't Washington do with less? For once, we got growth from Reagan. I saw you talking about it last night. How? Top marginal rate over 8 years went 70 to 28%. Look what happened. Why not do it again? The reason is everybody is afraid they'll lose votes of the middle class because there's far more of them than there are people in the upper bracket. The top 10% are paying 70% of all income taxes. And how can you say they're not paying their fair share? And why do we want to punish them further? If you really want growth, lower everybody's taxes across the board and get out of the way for all the revenues going to be coming in.
He's going to have a corporate tax. Trump wanted 15. Yeah. It's going to be 20. Reconciliation kicks in, so they say. But what's interesting is, all right, the corporate tax is reduced. The repatriation is good. You're right. New York, California, New Jersey, Illinois, they don't get to deduct. I'm in New York, it's 10%. Right. California's 13.5%.
Exactly.
So lower rate, they might have 39 to 35, but they'll pay more.
They're going to be paying more. Yeah. And I've talked to some very powerful people. You know, I'm a powerful, influential member of the media. I have access to powerful people. And they're laying this all off on the president, this upper bracket, no movement. And because they know when I talk to them that I'm going to be interested in across the board, everybody, because they're the ones talking growth. They're not saying we need to do this to generate revenue. They're saying we need to do this to reboost the economy. Well, why are you going to leave out the people at higher? Why don't we use those people as role models, inspirations? It's typical class warfare. But anyway, the guy that I was talking to says, well, don't talk to me. The president wants it. It's the president's insisting on it. The president said that guys like him don't need a tax break. So they're laying this all off on him. When I hear we have to find a way to pay for it, that's Washington establishment talk. That's Democrat talk, paying for tax cuts. This thing, first day it's presented, is never going to be how it ends up if they get a vote on it. But don't misunderstand, there's some great things in this. The personal exemption doubles, repatriation is good. But the thing that bothers me is that we still want to demonize and punish achievers.
I was excoriated for saying I worked in restaurants since I was 12.
Right. Worked
in construction for years. I was demonized for saying I never got a job from a poor person.
Right.
Ever.
Well, you're not supposed to say those things. You're not supposed to say things that contradict the narrative. And the narrative it's all about getting reelected. It's all about trying to claim that they have things in common with the middle class, the downtrodden, and so forth. That's why I don't think it's really about growth. It's about politics and getting votes.
Let's talk about the Republican Party. We saw what happened with health care. Let's get your general impressions on health care. And I'm convinced there's a pretty significant percentage of Republicans in the Senate. They do not want this president to succeed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he goes further than that. I don't think they expected to win. I think they, like everybody, thought Trump was going to lose in the biggest lead. I think they thought that at 8 o'clock on election night. They weren't preparing to govern. They hadn't laid any plans for it. They have become accustomed to being the, quote, loyal opposition, which means eventually caving and give the Democrats what they want after putting up a good front. 7 years, going to repeal or replace Obamacare, but we can't do it unless you give us the House. Can't do it until the Senate. Can't do it in the White House. Gave them all of that. You know the drill. And you're right. They don't want to do it. I think that the voters come second. It's kind of like this NFL thing. The owners there have a real conundrum, a real dilemma. Who do they choose? They choose loyalty to their players and their customers. That's a tough decision. Well, Republicans in the Senate and the House, who do they choose, donors or voters? And I think they're choosing donors. The donors don't want major reform of anything. The donors want amnesty. The donors want comprehensive immigration reform. When it comes to health care, you can tell for 7 years they passed bills with no problem. You could tell they didn't want to do it. You could tell they didn't want to repeal and replace it. They were just saying the words. And they all have their own individual reasons, but I think it's donors influencing more than voters. We'll see. But this is an embarrassment. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's being totally squandered. We're never going to have this chance.
You actually said that if they were smart, and all they would do is keep their promises, they would govern for generations.
This is the deal. I really believe that if for just 3 months going forward, or if they had been 3 months in the past, just 3 months, gut it up for 3 months and work with Trump on his agenda, on cutting taxes seriously across the board, immigration reform, the wall, what have you, getting rid of Obamacare, which is just, it's an absolute crime what has happened here and what that's going to mean to the country. Just try for 3 months. Make it look like there's unity between the president and the people of his own party, and they would own Washington for a generation.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I'm looking at the Republican Party. I think Trump has a strong identity. Ran on a platform, sticks to it. Every speech sounds just like his campaign speech. Where's the brilliant ideas? How many years on radio have you talked about health savings accounts, healthcare cooperatives? We don't hear about that. How many times have we heard about the wall? I don't see them embracing strong ideas and going and selling them, which I think they'd win on the...
I don't think they're conservative. I don't think they ever have been. I think they are... Look, there isn't much conservatism in the establishment. There are Republicans and Democrats, but it's basically people who are pro-government, pro-Washington, who think government Washington's the center of the world. They'll give occasional mentions of these things that you mentioned, these policies, to placate voters. But going back to an original question you had here, they don't want Trump to succeed with his agenda. They can't afford that. I'm not exaggerating here, and I'm not trying to say things that'll be a soundbite that Fox replays the rest of the day. They don't want
5 days rush. They'll play in 5 days.
They can't afford for him to succeed with his agenda. They can't afford it. The lid's blown. The gig is over. The joke is revealed. If an outsider with no prior political experience can come in and fix messes that people have been promised would be fixed for 30 years, how does that make them look? They can't allow that to happen.